Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here in this session. I am excited. I'm definitely enthused to be here with you as business professionals that you are. I want to thank my good friend, Otis. Otis is just a great man. And I know that you can certainly appreciate that when I say that because you know him. He is someone that makes and facilitates that growth that you need to get to the next level. Is someone that will help facilitate your fast track to success in whatever that you want to do. And I am certainly very excited and I love working with him. By the way, I'm working with him and collaborating with him to organize an entire program for the continent and globally, really, because we are going to be having our All Africa Leadership Summit in Kigali, Rwanda, that will bring people from all over Africa, America, Europe, and Asia. So he is a pillar in this organization that we are doing. So I want to first of all just thank you, Otis, for your hard work and for such dedication to seeing the lives of people transformed. And I am definitely glad to be here with each and every one of you. So, like Otis actually said, I am a business professor at the Palm Beach Atlantic University, and I am a professor and chair of the Department of Business Analytics here at Palm Beach Atlantic University, Rinker School of Business. And but one of the things that I do besides being a university professor is I teach leadership. I'm a leadership coach and leadership consultant. I own a leadership consulting company in leadership called Superior Lead, and I lead another organization called Lead Missions International. That is the one that will be organizing the All Africa Summit in Kigali, Rwanda in July of next year. But I've always seen myself as a leader. I see myself as a leader in my family. I am married and we have 3 children together with my wife. I see myself as a leader in my community. I see myself as a leader in academia because that is my primary industry. I see myself as a leader in the society and in the nations of the world because that is what we do. Over the last 9 years, I have trained over 35,000 leaders in 55 countries of the world. So I love leadership. Leadership is what I live for. I believe that I was called to be a leader. If I don't know anything else that I was called to ever be, I know that I was called to be a leader, to lead me and to lead others that I have been entrusted with. So tonight, I am so glad for all of you leaders that are attending this session. I am glad that we can get to have a discussion. So as we proceed and I share with you, there will be times that I would, at the end of my discussion, I would like us to talk, and you can ask me questions or you can give me some feedback as to the thoughts that I'll be sharing with you. So, so look at it, that it would be a time of, I want you to imagine that we were sitting together at a table and we were having tea or coffee or whichever one you prefer. And we were just having a discussion on this subject. What are the things that you would like to hear? What are the things that would inspire you? What are the things that would make sense to you? I certainly want to give honor to whom honor is due. Like I told you, I am a Maxwell coach, and John Maxwell is my mentor. I belong to his mentorship program, and I have been so for the last 9 years. I really thank God for this gentleman because he has changed, everything about my life from a leadership perspective. When I joined his organization, I had barely, traveled to a few countries. But now, because of his mentorship, his direction, leadership over my life, we have reached more than 55 countries and counting. So there is a role that a mentor plays in your life that is clearly remarkable and significant, and that you and me can't take for granted. So take mentorship seriously and decide that you will be someone who can accept to be mentored by another person, because mentorship makes all the difference. Can you imagine? I joined the organization, like I said, 9 years ago. And, in 2023, which was about 2 years ago, I was nominated and selected as, to receive the highest reward in the Maxwell Leadership. That's out of 54,000 coaches, speakers, and trainers from around the world. I became the second African in the entire organization to receive that kind of an award. So I know that this is because Africa is rising, because Africa will take the place that she really deserves in this time and in this season. And knowing that I'm talking to Africans and knowing that I'm talking to predominantly young people, I don't know if any of you are as old as me yet, because I can't see it from the screen. But I know that there is hope for our continent, and I know that we will rise up to become all that God intends for us as Africans. In the world of business, in the world of finances, in world economy, we will rise up to, to display that for which all of us have been called. So today, I am going to be talking to you on the subject of business communication. But I want to subtitle what I'm about to share with you as leading with words. Leading with words. As a business person, you are always talking. You will always be called to talk. It might be talking with the people that work with you, that is your team. It could be talking with your clients. It could be talking with your suppliers. It could be talking with any of the other stakeholders in your network or in your ecosystem. But regardless of what the reason for why you are talking is, you are always going to be communicating. So meaning that you are always going to be a messenger that sends a message through a given channel to a receiver, and whom you wish will understand you and hopefully will give you a feedback through the same channel, so that you can know that not only you pass a message across, but that message was received and positively, and then you received a feedback. All of us are always wishing that we will win in our communication. You see, when a salesman wins in his communication, what happens? The sale happens. The client buys what they were supposed to buy. When a parent wins in the communication, what happens? The child does what the parent has said. The child stays in the good graces of the parent. When speakers win in a communication, what happens? The audience is inspired. The audience is transformed. The audience becomes, they get what they came there to get, and they become the people that they were intended to become. You and me don't just have to communicate. We have to make sure that we win with words. You see, no matter whatever we do, we will always have to use words to express what our business is all about, what we are doing, what is it that we intend to see through the use of words. Words are one of the most powerful gifts that God had ever given to a man. Do you notice that as human beings, one of the things that distinguishes human beings from all the other animals that live is that men and human beings have a language. Do you notice that? It's true that the other, animals have some form of a language, but their language is more discreet. Only men have a very developed sense of language. And the whole idea is because men have the ability to communicate with intelligence, probably some of the very, very complicated, complex notions, and yet still pass on that knowledge from generation to generation. But what I wanted to say is that you and me can win with words. You and me can win the game of communication and help our businesses to go to yet another level. Now, how many of you here, by a show of electronic hand or by putting something in the chat, how many of you here would say, well, Madison, if I could know the right way to communicate with my client, I believe that my business will be a little bit better. I mean, how many people will say like that? Like, if I could just communicate well with my client, let them know exactly the product and service that I'm offering, and communicating, if I communicate in such a way that my client can buy that product, can key into that service, that for me would be I would have met a great goal in my life. How many of you will say that? All right, Rhoda says yes, 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 yes. Who else again? Oh, just Rhoda. Okay, all right, okay. How many of you here would say, if I could just be a better communicator with the people that I work with, so that they understand what this team is all about, so they understand what this business is trying to achieve, so that they will understand what I am trying to do. How many of you would say that if I could just do that, I mean, that would be a big achievement, that we can be in sync. I can be in sync with my team and with my collaborators so that they can understand me, right? How many of you would say that if I could just be able to communicate in such a way that it doesn't matter whoever, whether it's the person above me or the person that walks alongside with me or the person that is under me, if I could just communicate in such a way that there is harmony and they can understand and feel what I feel, see what I see, hear what I hear, then business will be something great. Business will be worthwhile. Well, the actuality is that it is possible. It is possible that you and me can become better in our communication, win more business, become more successful, because we understand the power of how we can use our word. So today I'm going to just give a few points that I've learned from and practiced also from my mentor, Mr. John Maxwell. John Maxwell wrote a book a few years back called The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication, in which he talks about how you and me can win in our communication. He talks about some laws that if we can keep and obey them, we would put communication to be a tool that works for us and not against us. Growing up, I grew up in Africa. I grew up in the village with my grandmom and my granddad. And I think that back in the day, I don't know how it looks like now, but in Africa, we always have this thing where When we talk to children, we always shout at children, right? We always believe that children know nothing, we always have this way where there's no sense of respect when it comes to a child because, in Africa, the lesser respects the greater, right? But the greater generally doesn't pay a lot of respect to the person that is small. And so, and so I grew up understanding that, that's how you deal with the people that are under you. And so when I grew up, I began and I gained leadership. I also began to kind of shout down at the people that are under me until I learned, that communication has to be respectful. So in the laws that I'm going to share with you today, here is what I want you to think about. Number one, I want you to ask yourself, how can I begin to win with words in my business? How is what Madison is going to share today help me to win in my business? So let your heart and ears be tuned to what is it that I can learn that can possibly make me to win in my business? How can I use my words to transform my business and what I do? How many of you here have watched Shark Tank? Shark Tank is that, is that program that, young business people come and pitch their business to sharks, meaning very wealthy, investors who have the money to invest in that business, but all they have to do is to pitch it right to the satisfaction of the sharks, and then the sharks can, buy into that business, get an equity stake in the business, and therefore help them to also help those entrepreneurs to get their business up and running. How many of us have watched Shark Tank or any version of that where people pitch to investors? So I love that program a lot, and I watch it a lot. And every now and then, I will see somebody come to the Shark Tank, and they are really imperfect, right? They don't have their things all together tied. Maybe they don't have their finances together really well. They cannot tell their financial story very well. But sometimes these people will just speak their heart. And I will see one of the sharks will say, I know that you don't have your finances together. I know that you are not communicating very well. I know that you need help in this area. But I can feel your heart. And I can see that you are an honest man, and you are somebody who has something. And because of that, I am willing to invest in your business. So you ask for 10%, I am going to give you, I am going to ask for 11% of equity stake in your business. And I want to help you, and you'll put together your finances, and I'll help you with that. But this is my offer on the table. People win with words. Sometimes you might not be perfect in other ways, in other things. But how about you begin to speak the right kind of words before your clients, before your people that can invest in your business, the people that supply to your business, the people that work with you, collaborate with you in your business? How about you started winning in that? So let me talk about these laws of communication that can help you and me become better communicators so that we can do the business that we have been called to do. The first law I want, by the way, let me just say this. If we have to win with words, there are 5 things that we must know about communication. Communication is about, number 1, who does the communication or who says it. Communication is number 2, what is said, that is the message. So here's the messenger. Here is the message. Number 3 is how it is said. How it is said. How something is said is important. Number 4, it is about when it is said. And certainly number 5, it is why it is said. These 5 things don't forget. Okay? Here again, who says it? What is said? How it is said, when it is said, and lastly, why it is said, the reason, the motivation. Don't forget these 5 things. So as we are talking about communication and you and me communicating in our business so we can win, think about that. So the first law is called the law of credibility. The law of credibility simply says, the most effective message is you. So the most effective thing in your business is not telling people what they can do. The most effective message in your business is you yourself. The first thing that you market in your business is you before you market the product or before you market the service. So what am I saying? So if you cannot live your message that you want to pass on, then you can never be successful and win with people. Be the message that you want to spread to the people. In other words, credibility matters. When we are talking about credibility, we mean that you can be authentic, that what you say on the outside is what it is on the inside. To be a credible means that you are consistent. Who you are that we saw you yesterday is what you are today and hopefully what you will be tomorrow. Consistency matters. Being credible means that you are an example of what you are telling the client. When you tell the client that, no, your product will be delivered on time. Well, what that means is that you deliver your things on time. You carry that message to others. You are your message, in other words. That is what the law of credibility says. The law of credibility says you are your own example. There is a story told about Mahatma Gandhi. Anybody know Mahatma Gandhi? A great man. He was an Indian. He was one of the people that led to the freedom of India from the grasp of colonial Great Britain or imperial Great Britain back in the day. So Mahatma Gandhi, one woman came to Mahatma Gandhi and said to Mahatma Gandhi, please tell my child not to eat sugar. And Mahatma Gandhi said to the woman, please go and come back in 3 days. So the woman left and came back in 3 days. And when the woman came back in 3 days, Mahatma Gandhi told the child, and he says, do not eat sugar again. So the woman turned back to Mahatma Gandhi and said, when I met you 3 days ago, you could have just said, go, do not eat sugar again. Why did you have to send us back for us to come 3 days after for you to say the same thing that you would have said a couple days ago? And Mahatma Gandhi said, 3 days ago, I myself was eating sugar. So I didn't have the moral authority to tell the child not to eat sugar. That's why 3 days afterwards, I was able now to say, do not eat sugar. What was Mahatma Gandhi saying? Be the example of the message that you want to pass down. Simple. The law of credibility says you have to be competent. Competency means that you have to have the skill to deliver what you said you will deliver. So it's not just about the message, it's about your delivery. It's about whether you are qualified as a messenger to make that delivery. Sometimes people don't believe us because we are not competent enough. And so they turn down our business. The law of credibility says you have to be trustworthy. People have to trust you in order for them to do what you want them to do. You know, earlier on in my life, when I was starting my leadership journey, which goes back to about 30 years ago, you see, I thought that leadership was just about information, giving people the right kind of information and all of that. But the older I became, especially in the last 15 years, my focus has not been on information any longer. My focus is on transformation. Because information is just knowledge, you know. But when you talk about transformation, you are talking about real, tangible, physical change. So I no longer speak to inform people. I speak so that they can be transformed. And if I know that transformation will not happen, that it's only information that will happen, maybe I'll prefer not to speak. Because the goal of true communication is so that transformation might happen. So the law of credibility says, be your message. Let me ask you a question. Are you your message in your business? When you tell the people deliver on time, when you tell the people pay on time, do you pay on time? Do you deliver on time? The law of credibility. Law number 2 that I want to talk with you today is the law of observation. If you have to be a great communicator in your business, in your professional life, look at other great men and women that have communicated before. If you're a businessman, you ought to listen to Bill Gates when he speaks. If you're a businessman, you have to listen to Jeff Bezos when they speak. If you're a true businessman, you have to listen to Dale Carnegie of blessed memory. You know, great men and women who have spoken, who are entrepreneurs par excellence that have spoken. How do they speak? Observe them. What is it that makes people to listen to them? What is it that makes people to follow them? That's what the law of observation says. The law of observation says good communicators learn from great communicators. Good communicators learn from great communicators. Great communicators rally people around their vision. Great communicators have a way to make people buy into what they are selling. So what are they doing? As a businessman, do you listen to the great communicators in your world and in your time? Elon Musk is on track to becoming the first trillionaire in the world. Have you ever listened to him talk about the business? Has it ever wondered you, why is this guy, what has this guy done that nobody else has done? How does this guy communicate his vision in such a way that people buy into it? By the way, everybody that is great in this world has used other people's money to be great. Because there's nobody that is great in this world with his money. No, nobody. So Elon Musk is because there are many people that have joined his bandwagon and are buying his stock. And that is why he keeps going ahead and all of that. So you need to be able to be, you have to be a good communicator to get people to come on board and put their money so that you can use their money and hopefully give them a profit on their money. The law of observation says, observe great people that have gone ahead of you and ask yourself, what did they do that I am not doing? What are they doing that I need to start doing? That is the law of observation. Number 3, The law of conviction. The law of conviction says, the stronger you believe it, the more the people will feel it. If you are going to be a great communicator in your business, you have to believe in what your business is. If your business is offering a service or a product that you don't believe in, then work on that product until it's a product that you can believe in. Work on that service until it's a service you can die for. It's a service that you yourself can leave one end of town and go to the other end of town looking for that service. And if your service is like that, then you believe in it. And then when you share it with people, people will believe in it. It doesn't matter what your service is. Even if your service was just doing the lawns and clearing and sweeping and washing and cleaning rooms, you have to believe in what, even that mundane service, what it can do and how transformative that mundane service is. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, when President John F. Kennedy was president of the United States, he was visiting NASA. NASA is the space aviation center in the US. This is where they send rockets to the moon and all of that. And so he was visiting NASA back in the day. And then he met somebody who is a janitor, who cleans the floors, who mops the floors. And so President Kennedy introduced himself to him and said, "So, what is your name and what do you do here?" And the man said, "I am so and so." And he says, "I am trying to help America put somebody on the moon, sir." Did you hear what I just said? I am trying to help America put somebody on the moon, sir. In other words, even though he was a janitor and a sweeper of the floors and a mopper of the floors and a cleaner of the floors, he was cleaning it with the understanding that for every swipe of the broom, he is swiping one man to the moon. That is a powerful way to see what you do. He believed that his sweeping of the floor contributes to landing an American on the moon. Wow. You see, if you don't believe it, the people can feel it. So if you are going to be a communicator, communicate from a place where you are totally convinced, a place where you have conviction. Do you know why I came to speak to you this night? Is because I know that what I'm about to share with you, if you will open your heart and listen to what I'm about to share with you, you will become a great leader in your business. You will learn the same kind of things that I have learned. Do you know I work with people from across the globe, people that I have never even met in my life, but they work for my company, they work for my organization, they volunteer their time to my organization, they even invest their money for my organization. Why do they do that? Because they can sense that I believe in what I do, they can sense that I have authenticity in what I do, and they can feel it in their heart. If you and me would have to be great communicators, we have to obey the law of conviction, to believe in what we do, and to believe that what we do has impact on people, and that the services and the products that we offer will make a significant change in the people's lives. And if they will not, then let us not even do that business. Then that's bad business, because it's not adding value. But if it is, like we say it is, then we'll invest all of our lives doing that. The law of credibility, the law of observation, the law of conviction. All of these three laws have to deal with who said it. It's all about who. It's about you and me. So remember I told you about 5 framework. Who said it? What is said? How it is said? When it is said? And lastly, what? Why it is said. So all of these three that I've just given you just on one aspect. So I'm going to rush for the rest. Now, going to what is said. Going to what is said. There's the law of preparation. Every time you want to share a business presentation, a business idea, or something critical in your business, please spend some time, think about it. Write it down. That's what the law of preparation says. The law of preparation simply says you cannot deliver what you have not developed. You cannot deliver what you have not developed. So develop your communication. Write it down. Like, think about what you're about to say to your guys. Think about what you're about to say to your clients. If they matter that much, if your business depends on how much of your product they buy or how much of your service the services they take on, then it is worth you sitting down and asking, how do I communicate with them? What is the winning message? What is my story I have to tell? So the law of preparation says you cannot deliver what you have not developed. So let me ask you, what have you developed to offer to your clients? What have you developed so that you can offer to your collaborators in the business that you do? To your stakeholders that can possibly support you and invest in your business, what have you developed for them? What do you have to offer to them that is compelling enough for them to work with you? That's a law of preparation. Another law that has to do with your message is the law of content. The law of content simply says, when you have something worth saying, people will start listening. When you have something worth saying, people will start listening. My question is, do you really have something worth saying? Does your business really have a story to tell? Does your business have a product to offer to this world? When you do, people will start listening. So therefore, you have to go back and say to yourself, is it something? Is there a story? Where are the stories in this business? Where is something I bring to the table regarding my business that is compelling? People have to listen. People have to buy this product. People have to be part of this. What is it that I have to tell the world? The next law that I want to share with you has to do with how it is said. Remember, I've just told with you who says it. I've talked about what is said, all right? I've talked about those two laws on what is said. The third thing I want to say now is how it is said. And I will talk about the law of connecting. The law of connecting simply says, communicators know that it's all about others. That's the law of connecting. It's all about others. Remember, it's not about you. So when you stand to talk to your clients, when you stand to talk to your employees and your collaborators, when you stand to talk to your investors, remember that it's not about you. It's about them. So in other words, if you don't understand how they feel, if you don't understand what they care about, if you don't understand what they want, you will always get it wrong because you'll be making it about you and your company instead of making it about them and what they want. It was Zig Ziglar who said, if you give enough people what they want, they will give you what you want. Did you hear what I just said? If you give enough people what they want, they will give you what you want. That is all about business. So why is Elon Musk, the richest person in the world. He has found a way to give people what they want, the luxury they want, the technology they want, when they want it, how they want it. And in return, everybody is willing to give him billions for what he is giving to them. Simple. Business is giving people what they want. Enough of the people, enough of what they want, so that they in return can give you all that you want. If you can understand that, you are in real business. When is the last time that you gave people what they want, that they did not give you what you want? The law of connecting says, communicators know it's all about others. Don't make your business about you. Make your business about others. What is their pain? What are they going through? What do they want? What can ease their pain? That is what you are in business for. Another law that I was going to give under how you say it or how you communicate is the law of simplicity. The law of simplicity says communication or communicators take something complicated and make it simple. Communicators take what is complex and make it simple. Do you know that there are some clients you cannot get because your explanation is so complicated? Make it simple. Make it simple. Clients don't need to go to school to know how to buy from you. They don't need to have a PhD to get your service. They don't need to have a PhD to understand, your product. So you have to offer it to them in the easiest way that they understand. So communicate. When you communicate with people, communicate in plain terms. That's how you win with people. Communicate with your investors in clear terms, simple terms. Communicate with your clients in simple terms. Communicate with your children, simple terms. Communicate with your collaborators in simple terms. How is it said? It's said in simple terms. I said again, who says it, what is said, how it, how it is said. But not only how it is said, when it is said is also important. When it is said. Timing is important. There's a timing for when you say certain things to your client. There is a timing for when you say certain things to your investors. There is a timing for what you share with your collaborators. Are you clicking into the time? Are you understanding the law of timing? Are you putting the law of timing to work on your behalf? What is said is important. Who says it is important. How it is said is important. But when you really say it, it's critical because it can make the difference between whether it works or it doesn't work. If you say it too early, it may not work. If you say it too late, it may not work. But if you say it on time, that is what makes the difference. Do you remember the Japanese business philosophy, like just in time, right? Just in time. In the business world, we talk about the just-in-time delivery or whatever. So the timing matters. Timing matters. Timing matters. So talking about when it is said, I want to give you one law. It's called the law of the thermostat. The law of the thermostat. So what is the law of the thermostat? The law of the thermostat says, Communicators read the room and change the temperature. Communicators read the room and change the temperature. When you are a great leader and a great communicator, you can come with your notes, you can come with what you wanted to say, and if you can read the room, you might decide, I am not going to say it at that time, or I am not going to say it with this tone, or I am not going to say it right the way I thought I wanted to say it. Why? Because I have read the temperature of the room, because I know that the temperature of the room is not conducive for what I'm about to say right now. So as a thermostat, I will set the temperature right first. And when the right environment has been created for my message, I will pass that message. If any of you here is married, you have been married for what? For 22 going on 23 years now. When you say a thing in marriage might be the difference between marriage breaking up and marriage staying together. The law of timing is real. So be a thermostat. Know how to set the temperature that can accept your message. There is a time to rebuke and there is a time not to rebuke. There is a time to embrace and there is a time to let go. There is a time to attack and there is a time to retreat. Not understanding how words can be controlled and words can be leveraged to bring about the right kind of communication where you are will make you not to be successful in your business. Do you know that every day in your business you meet potential people that can support your business, that can come on board in your business, that can become patrons of your business, but just the way you are speaking is turning them away? If you knew how to change the thermostat, to change the temperature of that in that atmosphere, and become a thermostat, changing the temperature of the atmosphere, do you know that you might win more business partners? So ask yourself, how do I have to speak then? There's some books that I need to read to understand how I can communicate better. Is my demeanor scaring people away? Is the way I carry myself around, does that make me to lose partners and business? What can I do to better my communication? When it is said is important. So you have to know how to read the room if you are a business owner. The last law I want to share with you today that will help you and me in our communication. I will communicate with clients, with stakeholders, with superiors, with potential investors, with friends and with family. It's called the law. Because remember I talked about who says it? What is said, when it is said, how it is said, and then lastly, why it is said. So, under why it is said, that's what I'm talking about, the law of results. The law of results. In communication, the law of results simply says, the greatest success in communication is action. So in other words, if you say, I'm always talking to them, I do my best, I communicate with them, the question is, are they taking action? A successful sales presentation ends in the client taking action. A successful pitch to an investor ends in the result of the investor investing in the business. That's a law of results. So don't speak just for speaking. Speak for result. Speak for impact. Speak so that things can happen that have not happened before. When you speak to a client, you are speaking so that they might listen to you. One of the things that my mentor, Mr. John Maxwell, taught us, and that I when about communication, and I don't forget, I don't forget that in a hurry, is every communication is an attempt to influence. Every communication is an attempt to influence. So every time you are talking to somebody, even when you are greeting a friend and you're saying good morning, guess what? The attempt is connecting with them in a way that they feel welcome, they feel that they're in the right space, they feel that things are going all right, they feel like you are a real friend. When you call them and say, how are you doing? It's been a week now, I've not seen you. The hope is that you are trying to connect with them and to make sure that they know that you care for them, that you are checking up on them. In other words, the communication is not the end of communication is not the communication itself. The end of communication is action in a positive direction. The aim of communication is results, friends. So after having talked to you for all of these minutes, the hope is that something would change in you that will make you to think about the way you communicate with your clients, with your investors and stakeholders, with your collaborators, with your family members. It's for you to think, first of all, am I my message? When I talk to them, is there something in me that is saying, no, 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 because of who I am? Because communication is about who says it. Why is that Elon Musk says it and people buy, and you say it and they don't buy? Who says it is important. But then, work on what is said. What is really your message? Hone your message, work on your message, because what is said is important. Then work on, how you present it, right? Because how you say it matters. Work on when you actually say it. When you have a presentation, should you say it in the beginning? Should you say it in the middle? Or should you say it in the end? When matters. When should I say it? How should I say it? And why do I say it? It's a question of motive. It's a question of what is the catch? Why do I say it? Do I say it because I care for the client? I want the client to get the best product or service? Do I say it because I just want to make a buck out of them? And when I make that buck, I can go away. I don't care what happens to them. Even if the thing breaks down, I am gone and they will never see me. I've taken my money and bye-bye. Why is it said? What is the motivation? These are just some few thoughts I wanted to share with you, friends, this night. I hope that it gets you thinking about the way you interact with your clients, with your investors, with your stakeholders, with the people you work with the people you look up to, and with the people that are just around you. Winning with words, leading with words. Even Jesus Christ said, think about this. He said, the words I speak to you, they are spirit and they are life. So Jesus Christ understood that words matter. In fact, the Bible says that the whole of creation, heavens and the earth, were created by the power of words. The life and death are in the power of the tongue. So what are you doing with your tongue? And how can you use your tongue to create a great business for yourself? A business that will impact your family, your region, your country, and the rest of the world. I pray that God will bless you, and I pray that these thoughts hopefully can do something in your life that will get you thinking. Thank you so much, and it was a good day to be here. I will open up for questions that you might have